What's up, brothers? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Man, hopefully everybody's having an awesome day. Let's take a look at the stock market indices and the game plan for tomorrow. We did get a little bit of a pull today in some of the momentum names, which was needed. And now we have some fresh setups that are starting to go up. So let's start digging in, take a look at the QQQs, the SPY, and the IWM, and then get into the watch list. It's a much shorter one today, as we're probably due for a little bit of a pullback. But let's start to dig in. So we've had 2 down days on the QQQs. If we gap down tomorrow, I think probably that would set up a long. Usually 3 down days is a good spot. Overall, the structure of the market has not changed. It's hot, but we are overbought, and we do need the pull. Frankly, a couple of days would be really, really helpful. So let's keep an eye on this bad boy. The SPY finally had a down day. Like I said, it needs more, right? When you get this extended, 1 down day is not necessarily enough. You need some pullback and then maybe even some side, back and filling. And you got to kind of shake people out and then shake people up. And you got to churn it a little bit. And then that sets up a better move. And so just something to kind of keep into the back of your heads. We got a good spot here. We just need a little bit more. The market is holding up great. These are pretty orderly pullbacks, but we need more. The IWM has been kind of rejected at, into the strength here, which is not a surprise. We're just really extended. Once again, we need this to back and fill here just a little bit, right? Kind of come back in and build something out here, and that's going to set up a lot nicer of a setup. The thing is, if you wanted to break this 244 on the IWM, then you can't go straight into it and break out. That's not going to happen. Stocks get their power from consolidation. They get their power from basing. That coiling, it allows it to build up that steam, that pressure to make moves. So in general, if you run into any type of resistance and you're extended, you're going to pull back. Resistance resists anytime you're extended. So if you look in the past, when the IWM was stuck in this range, you would have these moves to the top of the range and they would never break because they're just too extended. You get this move here to the top of the range, but it just can't break because you're already up 7-8 days in a row. You make this move over here. I thought this one was, I was hoping this one would break, but when you really think about it, it's you're 4 or 5 days into the move, you're not going to break resistance. At that point, resistance resists. But what will typically happen is if you can back and fill this area and let those EMAs catch up, now all of the sudden this level can bust through and you can get through this thing and really make a good showing out of it. So let's see what happens tomorrow. We could use a little bit more pull. Obviously some of the stocks were getting a little bit weak, because the IWM is down 2%, but I think things held up fairly well. Obviously the nuclear stocks and DJT and some of these things that have been in play were down, and that's to be expected with the IWM pulling back here. So, we'll probably have some freshies, some fresh stocks start to, show its flavor, and we got a lot of good earnings plays to go through. So let's start digging into these things and see where we can go with it. So I think first of all, let's go in. Let me move this over here. All right, I think there's a couple of these kind of names here. This I was really interested in. I don't normally trade $10 stocks, but it had 20 million shares. This is a company that's been around for a while. We've traded this thing back and forth over the years. It's got a nice range break that's setting up here, 20 million shares in volume. I think this is probably a classic, red to green setup for tomorrow. Spotify will be in play tomorrow. You had earnings out here and a really, really big push. Let's see how this thing sets up. It's breaking out the all-time highs. We'll see if it pulls at the open. These earnings plays, guys, have been rock solid. I mean, they've been rock solid, especially in the first, hour or so. We took the shop at the open, and you had an awesome push on this thing, and it took one on SC, and actually did pretty good, but it only lasted for fucking 5 minutes. But they are pushing, on the break of pre-market highs and some of these kind of things. They are pushing pretty good. they just need a little bit of, they need a little bit of work here. So like if you see SC here, this type of setup is going really, really well, which is like, you're basing out, basing out in the pre-market, then you take off. And then you're basing out in the pre-market, and right, you're kind of taking out these ranges, and you get all this like a little upside to it. So let's go in and, they might only last for a little bit, but they're giving you some of the juice. And, of course, we had a UPST and all of this kind of stuff also pushed through. Love the look of these. Our RKLB will be in flavor. Man, I can't believe this thing's an $8 billion company now, man. This thing was a couple $100 million market cap, right? Awesome move. Still got a little bit more, still probably got a little bit more juice left in it. Let's see how it reacts. My only thing is I don't like when they run up like 4 or 5 days into the earnings. It's nicer when it's like a little bit of a surprise and they just go sideways. And then the earnings candle is the day one. Those typically will hold up a lot better, right? Like, even Shop, like it had already run like 20 points. And so, the gap ends up being a little bit more tricky than, if you were just like going sideways and then you come out of it and it's like a day one. So just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. This Adobe had a big day on it today, remounting the 50 and the 200-day moving average. I think this has got some heat on it for tomorrow. Let's add this one on the watch list for a potential red to green. I like the overall look of it. NVIDIA, only large cap that's really been coiled up so far, which is, you got a level here at 150. Now, the semiconductors have been shit, so I think that's something we do got to keep into the back of our heads, too. It may not be an easy move over 149 if the rest of them are all in the shitter. MU pooped its pants today, and, some of the other ones did, too. AMD did. So a lot of these are kind of, right, being huge roundies. Like, this thing looked like it was going to fucking break out, right? And now it's not, right? And you got AMD's like a big bear flag, essentially. So the NVIDIA, it's got a spot, but it very well could. It's got a spot, but it very well could. It's got a spot, but it very well could fail. So just be a little bit mindful of that. Amazon's got a nice look on it here, too. I think going into Black Friday, this one's got probably a nice chance to get this thing going. I think Affirm. I wish it didn't pop in the after hours. And it was looking great. Like it pulled back into the 50. And it's just grinding there and grinding there. I mean, that's nice. They give some good ad spots, and then it'd be nice if it didn't pop so much after hours. Let's see if if we can kind of back and fill. This is a huge range break here, so I like the overall look of it. Coin, a little bit of an indecision candle. I think, at this point, we're just got a little bit of a range to trade around. We want to keep this in the watch list just in case it goes nuts. But, my thinking is if it takes out the previous, this low here, we try a little bit of fade. We got actually a nice fade on it for a while today. Nice fade on it. I put some in it. They did pretty well, but it's got still probably some more downside to it if it can take out this level. And you got this gap fill here, right? So, if you lose to 300, then you got a little bit of gap fill, and we can get going. Tesla down 7% today. I think if it jams up tomorrow, we can green to red this thing too. It needs to probably come back and retest that 300 before it does whatever it's going to do. NCLH, like this look, $28 breakout. It's just been consolidating post-earnings. Let's see how this kind of breaks through. I think it's got a good spot on it. HIMS, big day. Then you got an inside candle, right? An inside day on it. Very narrow range too. To me, that's really bullish when you have such a narrow range. So let's see if we can get this thing going. And dude, we'll get this party going. So I love this. We still got a good market, but a little bit shorter watch list. I think some names need to pull back. And so let's just be short and sweet on it. And then look, there's some earnings placed for tomorrow too, right? Kava's got earnings. This I think will probably be in play. Some of these kind of things like RKLB, Kava, and we'll have a whole host of other ones. So let me know if you have any questions, guys. I love you guys. Peace.